Hello, everyone. My name is Chiphead99. Also, my first name is Sean. Today, I'll be doing one of my first review videos for films I've recently saw within the last week or two. I decided to do this because I really have been getting into films as of recently, so I wanted to do this, talk about them, what I liked, what I didn't like, and I just wanted to spread my love for filmography overall because over these past few years when I'm in school, I wanted to talk about it more because I loved films more and more. It's been a medium I've been enjoying while I'm at school, away from home, and a lot of my friends and family there. So today I want to start this new series where I go off script, talking about some of my favorite films I've seen. Well, not my favorite films, but films I've seen over the past few weeks, and discuss them a little bit more and what I liked a lot. So let's hit this off with the first film I really want to talk about being Disney Pixar's recent animated film Turning Red. So I'm a huge Pixar fan, like a very huge Pixar fan. I love a lot of their films ever since I was young. So this new one, Turning Red, is one I was very hyped for actually before it came out. I know there's a lot of controversy about it due to its animation style as well as the main character being a Chinese Canadian 13-year-old girl. So there was a lot of controversies like saying oh, older Pixar was better, but I really liked it. So I'm going to get into the story, how it's about a 13-year-old Chinese Canadian girl that becomes a panda or a red panda when she gets excited or scared suddenly due to a family curse that's placed upon her. And it's basically an allegory for puberty and female periods. I really liked it. What they did with it, it's very charming, and it definitely is something that more films should talk more properly about, which I'll get more into in a few minutes. But I also like how the story also discusses the relationship between that child or teenager with her mom, because we all had those phases of where we all have relationship problems with our parents as we get older, because we want to start becoming our own person more instead of being a child as they still see us as, which we all relate to. I can relate to that. But I really like the story they tell here. They felt like they created a real 13-year-old girl trying to be herself with her friends, and also I really liked it overall. It was really fun. Had a lot of great jokes. I laughed out a lot. I showed this to my sister, and she was really weirded out by it, but I think she liked it. She didn't say much about it, but I just think she liked it. And yeah, the animation style, I'll get into that. Animation was absolutely superb. I really like the more anime aesthetics they really went into. I actually watched a documentary about this film, and they discuss how they wanted to dive more into an anime appeal, and like some of their inspirations were like Sailor Moon or some of the older anime that the director used to watch, and I think they pull it off really well. It's very different from other Pixar films. The closest I would say it gets to in terms of other Pixar films is Luca, but that's still very far off because one of them is like a little bit more based on like Ghibli, while this one's more like those anime you watch on TV. But I really liked it. It was very, very creative and fun, especially with some of the visual gags they do with like character reactions or funny moments or dramatic moments. It's very detailed and it's very wonderful, and I am all for like the recent push for more creative usage of 3D animation, as shown with the Mitchell's Machines, Spider-Verse, Luca in a way, as well as a few others that are coming as well, and I'm very much more for it. So I'm going to get into the characters. Like I said, the 13-year-old girl being May, I really liked what they did with her character, trying to develop her from a more withholded child from her parents, mostly from her mother, where they used to have like a very, very tight relationship. And like since she's a teenager now, she wants to break away from her mother's hold with this red panda thing going on as well. Wanting to become more of herself and be more with her friends and be a teenager. I really liked what they did with her character. And while she definitely can be seen as a little bit annoying, I never really had that problem with it because I kind of related to her because I was like her. I always wanted to do my own thing. I always wanted to break away from like my parents' demands. Like I remember like whenever they told me like, "Oh, do your homework," I was like, "No, I want to go play video games. I want to be myself. I want to go outside, ride a bike." But yeah, I really related to her. Ming, I really liked her a lot. She was probably like she's a much more tight parent. She like literally does like things within the film that are very, very dramatic. Well, some people would say like, oh, that's like very cartoonish of her what she does within the film. Like she does really embarrassing things in front of May. I really liked. It's actually proven that this was some of the things that she did was what some of the director's mother would do in front of her. Like there's a scene at the school. I won't see too much about it. I mean, it's in the trailer, so but there's a scene where the parent goes to the school and it's very weird with what the parent does, but it's actually what happens in the director's life at one point. But I really did like her overall. Her character was very well made and developed, I would say. So yeah, I'd say that her character is great as well. Side characters, I'll say I loved May's friends being Abby, Miriam, and Priya. They're all very fantastic personality-wise and fun. But aside from everything, let's all agree that the best character of the film was Jin, the father. Like super supportive and very fun. I wish we did see more scenes with him. And lastly, I want to get into some standout things. Like I already said before, it looks very different compared to other Pixar films. Any of them, because usually Pixar films go for more realism, such as Toy Story, Finding Nemo, or Dory. The Good Dinosaur was one, and so on and so forth. And recently, Pixar has been trying to push away from that, as shown with Luca and this film. So I'm very happy with that. But I wanted to get into more of like how very mature this is, which is very great. I liked how, like I said, this film deals with a lot about like puberty and other aspects of it. Of like has really weird imagery as well. Like during May's turning into the panda, I really like how weird it is. Like it's really weird. Also, it deals with like. Also, there's like a lot of words that I can't believe got past censors. Like they say words like stripper and other things like that. I like animated films becoming more and more mature because like there's always been this stagnant that animated films have to be for children and families. They can't be for like anything outside of. It can't be anything like more mature than 13 years old, like PG-13. Like I think that's stupid. Animation is for everyone. It should be for everyone, and I like how Pixar probably made one of their most mature films they've ever made. I would say like Soul is like definitely deeper and more mature in that sense, but like Turning Reds, this one is way more mature, like in a topic kind of way, where it goes more into like sexuality as well as like as well as periods and puberty in general. It was done very maturely and it was done fantastically, and I would love to see more films, animated films specifically, deal with that kind of topic because it's something everybody goes through. And I just love seeing more mature aspect coming from animation because animation is not just for kids, it's for everyone. As shown with films like Akira and Ghost in the Shell and so on. Alright, next film I want to talk about is The Batman. I'm going to be honest, I've never really been that huge of a fan of any Batman. I've never really seen any of like the animated shows, never played any of the Arkham games. The only Batman thing I've ever watched was the Dark Knight trilogy. And I'm not the biggest fan of them. I never really was. I've always been more interested in like Nolan's other films like Memento or The Prestige. Those are usually my favorite Nolan films. So I would say The Dark Knight is great, but I wouldn't say it's like the best superhero film of all time or anything. It's definitely like up there, but like I wouldn't say it's like the best. But anyway, I'm gonna get into the Batman. The story that the Batman tells is I'll say this: the Batman is like overall really incredible. I really like the story it tells. It's very anxiety-inducing and very much darker compared to like other Batman films I've seen. Like I said, I haven't seen any of the other Batman films outside of the Dark Knight trilogy and Batman vs Superman, but I don't really count that, or any of like the Zack Snyder Justice League or DCEU stuff. But like, I have seen clips of the older Batman series, and like I could tell, like they don't get as dark as this film. This film goes like it's dark, and my dad actually likes to make jokes like saying it's angst the movie, and I can kind of see it, but he is right. But I love what they do with this film. It's the most creative Batman film I've seen thus far, and it's dark. That's all I could say. I'm not the biggest Batman film, so I can't really say much outside of I really like the story they tell. It's very different from what I've seen, and this feels like the perfect Batman film. It does. I mean, that opening monologue that they say is like literally perfect. And I really like the story of how it tells that they're trying to this Batman iteration from Robert Pattinson is like trying to build himself to be a better Batman. He's just seen as a vigilante throughout most of the film, but he wants us to be seen as more than just that. He wants to be seen as an actual hero, and his arc towards that was very well executed, because this film always is dealing with like, how there's always like a focus on the rich but the poor are the people that deserve more focus. And I love how they touch upon that. That is definitely a problem in the real world, and the story does stuff like that I'm very happy they touch upon, and it's executed really well. So next I want to get into the acting, because oh man, the acting is so amazing in this film. Robert Pattinson pulls off a top tier Batman. But I know I haven't seen that many Batman films that much, but Robert Pattinson definitely felt like an amazing Batman. He doesn't really talk that much. He's more like how Tom Hardy in Mad Max. He's usually silent mostly throughout the film, but when he talks, he definitely does it. And he just fits the Batman role. I want to say he does amazing as Bruce Wayne, though. I don't really see him that much as Bruce Wayne. He's only in as Bruce Wayne as a couple of scenes throughout the film, but like that part, I think he definitely does need to do a little bit more work whenever this film gets a sequel, which it probably will. I think it's basically confirmed now, but he was amazing as the Batman. Just that opening scene just conveys that so well. Next, Paul Dano, who did the Riddler. I'm going to just say it. He had the best role in the entire film. You could tell he put so much effort into this role, and it paid off. Especially throughout like his Instagram videos that the Riddler has, or the last jail scene that is basically, it's basically like the Joker scene in the Dark Knight trilogy, or the Dark Knight film, where he's being interrogated. It's basically just exactly that, but he puts his own spin on like with the Riddler, and it's so freaking good. And like, dude, he is so creepy in this film. This is probably like one of the creepiest villains I've ever seen from any film. Next up was Zoe Kravitz. I don't know how to pronounce it right, so you could sue me. But she did really well as Catwoman. I could already tell she's the best Catwoman thus far. I mean, I haven't seen any of the other Catwoman stuff, but she definitely is like, she was definitely really good as the Catwoman. Colin Farrell, I couldn't believe that was Colin Farrell when I was watching it as the Penguin. Like, I didn't know it was until like later on. I was like, that was Colin Farrell, and he's not the main antagonist, but he definitely did a great job as the Penguin. And lastly, I'm going to talk about Jeffrey Wright as I forget, but the detective. Like I said, I'm not a big Batman fan, but he did really well as that character, and I would definitely say, Gordon, that's it. He definitely did amazing as that role, where he definitely actually felt like a partner with Batman for the once in a Batman film. There are parts of that in the Dark Knight trilogy, of course, but like this felt like the closest partnership he had with Batman, where he actually is like working alongside Batman through most of the film, and he did really well as it. A different take and a great result from it. Next came the pacing. Pacing was perfect. This is for a 3-hour film, definitely. And all I can just say is I didn't feel the 3 hours at all. Pacing was just perfect and didn't feel slow at all. No scenes stayed too long or were too short. It was just perfect all around. I didn't have any problems with the pacing. Action was also so freaking top notch. There's long parts with no action. There's a lot of dialogue, but like when the action comes, it's impactful. I have to give high shout outs to the car chase scene. When the car starts up, the Batmobile starts up, you could feel like the car starts up when it starts, and that chase is so incredible, and I just loved it. It was so well executed. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the quality of the film, where I'm going to be going into like the more of the cinematography and the visuals and lighting. And man, this film is the best looking superhero film I've ever seen. I am not joking. This is like top notch, like visual quality. Cinematography is absolutely amazing. There were so many shots I absolutely loved. Of course, like the upside down car scene with the Penguin. He's in the car and then Batman coming towards him. Obviously, that's like the best like cinematography moment. There's also a lot of other moments without the film that have top-notch cinematography. The VFX, I didn't notice any VFX problems at all. Well, I would say maybe the only problem I would say is like it did like there's one point where Batman jumps off a building and flies, and like when it goes like a headshot of him, it does look a little weird of the Batman. So maybe that would need a little bit more work, but overall it was like super well done. And the lighting looks absolutely phenomenal. Like the contrast between the lighting of like dark and the shadows and everything, it was perfect. And this is funny because it comes off like the same amount of budget as like other films like Black Widow, which have like really shoddy VFX at points, and it's like insane how different in quality these films look at the exact same budget. It's not funny how it is actually. It's just amazing. All right, next one is another film. This is a film that was actually played in theaters just last night. And I've actually never seen this film at all until yesterday. And I had to see it when I saw it at a local theater website that had it up. And the film was The Godfather. I've never seen it, like I said, and I sat in the theater alone for 3 hours, and man, it was amazing. I like the story it tells. It's a very tragic story with how it shows this character Michael becoming the head of the family and becoming the new Godfather. And the way it tells it, how he starts to become more detached to his actual girlfriend he has in the United States due to the amount of crime he's committing, his devotion to the family, and his love for another woman that he had in Italy. It's very tragic. I love what they did. He goes from like a super nice person that was in the Marines to this type of person, and I feel like it was conveyed super well. The story, it was just a very tragic, and during the entire thing, I was so attached. The story was gripping to me. Seeing this tragedy unfold and tragedy and drama unfold. I'm going to go into the characters next, and like I said, I really liked Michael and his downfall throughout the entire film. It was very well executed, so I'm going to just get off a little about that. And next I'm going to talk about The Godfather. Like, himself, his acting was, of course, the best acting in the entire film. It was so well done. I'm not going to spend too much time on here because words cannot describe how amazing the acting was in this film. Same what goes with some of the side characters, like Tony, I believe his name is, the person that's like right-hand man throughout the entire film. I'm really bad with names, but yeah, a lot of great acting all around. There's just a lot of characters. That was the only problem with me, but that's more me instead of the film. I've always had a problem with like remembering people's names. Because like whenever they say somebody's names, like my friend is like that, but that's more of a problem with me. But yeah, the characters were very strong overall. I really like The Godfather for his like, he's very subtle and he's a very deep down he's a nice guy, but like he's also like a very doer, or something has to get done no matter what. I really like that character, The Godfather. So I also want to talk about this film's iconicness. This is its 50th anniversary, and it's considered one of the best films of all time. And I need to see it again to see if it lives up to its expectations. But I could definitely see why a lot of people would say that. I would definitely say it is a masterpiece, but I need to see it again to see why it's a masterpiece. Knowing how the story unfolds, seeing what exactly this film, what lies in between the story beats of this film. And of course I need to see the sequel because I heard the amazing things about The Godfather Part 2. So I'll definitely have to see it again very soon. And yeah, and I'm going to talk about the last film. This is going to become a little bit questionable for my parents because I definitely bet they haven't heard about this one. And it's called Who Killed Captain Alex? This is a film that can be found on YouTube for free, and I highly ask you to please watch this film. It's only like an hour long, and this is probably one of the most fun experiences I ever had. So a little bit of background before I get into the film itself. This film was actually made in Uganda, and it only had a budget of $85, and it was directed by a person. I forget his name. I can get it up real quick while I wait. Let's see. It was directed by Nabwana IGG. Don't quote me on. I'm really bad at pronouncing foreign names, but he did a really well job. And the thing about this film, he was expecting this film to only be seen in the people of his home village, and it was also paying respects to his grandmother who passed away during the film. production, I believe. But because of the internet, it became so iconic and so beloved because it was able to spread instantly throughout the entire internet due to an upload on YouTube. And I'm so happy for it. It deserves its recognition and support because this film, it's so freaking charming. You could tell there was passion throughout the entire film. The team behind it had so much fun creating this masterpiece. It was 5 years in the making from what I've seen from the trailers, but they had so much fun despite the budget they had of only $85 and the limited resources they had in regard to set locations, visual effects, and all that kind of stuff. But man, this is just a fun film. It's just so fun. The action is fun. The narration. I usually hate narration in most films, but the narration in this film, it adds to the film for once. I can't really describe it, but like the narrator, being the director, he goes more into like the background of the everything going on. He also makes fun comments about what a character may be saying or thinking. And it's actually funny dialogue. It had me laughing at so many points, and I loved it. And this film, obviously, it's a parody of like action films, other action films, like I don't know, like Die Hard or something. But this film is so much different from any other action film I've ever seen in my entire life. And this film, I'm just gonna say, it's the best film I've seen on this list. Higher than the Batman, higher than Turning Red, and higher than the freaking Godfather. I want to watch this film again, and I strongly support to ask you to please watch this film. Like I said, it's free on YouTube, and I bet it would be so happy to see the director get more praise for this amazing creation. It's definitely on my list of favorite films of all time. Anyway, last up, I'm gonna be talking about films I plan on seeing next time for my next list, whenever that's gonna be made, probably like in a few weeks. So some of the films I have on my list I want to watch before the next video is Doctor Sleep, because that's a sequel to one of my favorite horror films of all time. I recently have HBO Max, and I see it's advertised on it, so I was like, sure, I'll watch Doctor Sleep. Drive My Car. I know that's up for like best foreign film at the Academies, and I heard amazing things about it from some of my friends online, so I was like, sure, I'll check it out. It's on HBO Max, and yeah, I'll check it out. The Adam Project. This is, I don't know much about it outside of Ryan Reynolds, and the director of this film is also doing Deadpool 3, so I'll definitely check it out. I heard mixed things about it, so I'll see. But it also deals with time travel, which, sure, I always love time travel. And last up is probably my most anticipated out of these four, being Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't know much about it outside of like some of the teaser trailers I've seen, and I know it deals with like multiverse and all that. And the director of this film was supposed to be the director of season 1 of Loki, so it's definitely going to be very interesting to see what exactly this film is like. It seems very chaotic, different, and overall very like story rich. So I definitely can't wait to see this one in theaters next weekend. Alright, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you all so much for watching. I know this video is probably weird because, like I said, it's off script, outside of a simple outline. But I hope you all enjoyed something different from me, and something I like to do, talk about films. So anyway, this is Chiphead99 signing out. Thank you.